Recorded. And we are live, boys and girls. This is the Goon here on the Goon Ironhead show, sponsored by Lion Country Kia. They put me in charge today while Booch flips the switch for the Fox Radio to get them on board here, and then he'll be over. But we're joined here by the great Dr. Jeffrey Powers, GM of the Quaker Steak Lube here in State College. So what's up, Powers?
Pleasure to be with you.
I love this time of year. See,
sit
Booch,
in for 5 minutes.
See, Booch and Ironhead think I'm going to be like Garth Algar, like, like they want my head to explode and stuff like that. So they don't think I can get through this. But I call in the professionals. When I want something done, I call in a professional. I call in Dr. Jeffrey Powers.
Well, I'm professional in preparing food. That
Absolutely.
I can do. Radio talk, well, we'll see how it goes.
Fantastic.
I'll give it my best shot.
I did not ask, how was the viewing here, I guess, that the Saturday, the Peacock game?
Oh,
you put it on live here.
Had it on every TV.
Good showing?
Oh, yeah. A real good crowd. Phone calls all day long, people asking. I think most people were kind of stunned by finding the news out that day that the game was only going to be on a streaming service.
I believe that 26 million viewers is what was for that game. And I believe it was about 5 to 10 million less than any of the other five playoff games.
So we get the numbers on how many more people subscribe to Peacock.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's just greed, in my opinion.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on there. But if they're going to do that, just do it the full way.
Yes.
You can't, like, on a weekly basis because, you know, I mean, I know your Pirates and your Penguins are on, what is it used to be AT&T now.
It's changed names so many times.
Yeah, now I saw it the other day. I was like, what is this channel?
And I saw Amazon Prime bought into a network that carries a large number of those regional sports. So I think Prime is going to start carrying a lot more of these regional games. But
we'll see, the Flyers are owned by Comcast,
mm-hmm.
which is Xfinity, which is also owned by NBC. They own NBC, and NBC owns them. So, like, some Philly games and some Flyer games are on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's just like, people are like, no, I have Comcast Sports on in Philadelphia, and I have another local station, but I need to have a third channel to go watch other games.
There was 1 week over the summer where the Pirates were on four different services
in a week.
In a course of 1 week last summer. So I had to have the Pirates on here at the restaurant. We had to have 4 different.
Wow.
Subscribe to 4 different things in 1 week, and it was maddening to me.
Was that? I know we want to get into the Penguins and the Steeler talk, but business-wise, going well here?
Oh. Had a great year.
Absolutely.
Did very well. I'm enjoying January, just trying to catch up here on a few things. Take a few weeks. Football season kind of comes slowing down.
Yep.
We can get a little break time in and then get back to it. March, when the weather breaks, things will pick up again.
I think you and I were the only part of our group that actually watched that the Hoops game the other night.
Oh, Penn State?
It was a pretty damn good game. They hung in there well, and they fought, and they ended up taking down the number 11 team in the country. So
I was impressed.
I was, too.
I had it on
Very much was.
And I kept expecting the rug to be pulled out of the team, because that's just a lifetime of Penn State basketball fandom. Every time I get excited about the team is when the bottom falls out. But I was excited to see that win. You
are exactly right. So I got to ask you, you're a season ticket holder for the Steelers.
That I am.
What's your Tomlin feel?
Oh, well, I mean, as I've said to everyone who's asked me for the last couple of months, it's not really worth talking about because I knew he was going to be back. They're not getting rid of him. Art's not going to be the first since his grandfather to fire a coach. He's going to, at the beginning of March, Mike's going to quietly get a contract extension for 2 or 3 years, and we'll give him a 1-year deal to be in the same situation again next year. So he'll get a 2 or 3 year contract extension at the beginning of March. I will probably need to take a personal day that day, but
well, so now we know you're feeling.
The streak of average to just above average will continue for an 18th year.
So Booch just did tell me a stat that anytime the Steelers and Bills play in the playoff, the winner goes to the Super Bowl.
Really?
It's 4 for 4.
I recall that. Yeah,
it goes back into the 70s and even in the 80s. I believe the 96 game. I think Neil O'Donnell. No, see, we were talking the other day. Me, Alan, and Ironhead were talking off the air a quick bit about the Steelers, and that was who did. I'm trying to think now. We were talking about backup quarterbacks and stuff like that. So Mason Rudolph, but then didn't Roethlisberger replace Tommy Maddox?
Yes, Maddox
and then
started that year.
And then who?
Maddox started that year. Started 1 game, and I believe the second game of the season.
They got hurt, right? And then Roethlisberger took over.
Roethlisberger took over. Wally pipped him. Never gave him the job back.
Yeah, and then didn't he go into like insurance world and then come back, or was it the second time around?
I believe.
He had already busted out of the league one time and then came back, had a pretty good
So,
year for you guys.
Yes,
and then
he
Big
did.
Ben came in, and then they got rid of him.
Believe before that he also was in the XFL. He was out of football, selling insurance. XFL came around, and he was one of the few people that played in the XFL and made the way into the NFL from there. He was.
I guess it goes back to what I mean. Do you think that Kenny Pickett is the answer, or do you think they stick with Rudolph?
Well, Rudolph's a free agent, so if he doesn't feel he was treated fairly by the team, which
I don't think he does, and nor do I think he actually was treated that well.
I think the team hasn't treated him terribly great, in my opinion.
But he's a guy who's a proven guy who can go out there and win games. I mean, he is the epitome of a great backup quarterback.
He very well might be.
And he would go to any team in the NFL, make more than a league minimum as a quarterback.
Oh, heck yeah.
And then, knowing that they can go out there, like if he's an Eagles backup.
Yes.
Like if Hurts goes down, they're going to be okay.
You'll be okay. Won't embarrass you at the position for this weekend. I think they're committed to Kenny. They put a first-round pick into him. My opinion is
that is the Steelers.
Yes, this is what the Steelers do. Draft him in the first round. Kenny's going to come back as the one next year, and Mike's going to be the head coach, and
you'll be out tailgating. You'll be parking
10-7, 9-8 once again. But I would like Mason to come back if they do that, and I think they do want Mason back. But I wonder what that does for the locker room and for Kenny. The offense, you can't argue. It definitely looked better under Mason.
There is one thing that I am always in awe at. I mean, obviously the organization of the Steelers is a fantastic thing, so you got to respect that. It's the fans I don't like. You know who I'm talking about. The Yinzers. So
all fan bases have their
anybody west of Champs up on Atherton. Anybody west of that is no longer. They're not part of my world. So, and then you got Trubisky. How long has he been there? Does he have another year on a contract? I mean, did they sign him to a couple-year deal?
He has 1 year left on his contract. He will not be back. They can, I'm sure, save some money.
They'll jettison him
off the top of my head, but yes, he signed a 2-year deal originally, and last year, after 1 year, they signed him to tore up the last year he had left and gave him another year, a 2-year extension. So he's under contract for next year, but he will not be a Steeler next year.
I mean, obviously, you're not happy with your Steelers this year, but do you think it's going to be the same thing going forward next year?
We're staring at another year of the same thing, unfortunately.
I mean,
I hope I'm wrong. Let's see what the offseason goes. Hopefully they prove me wrong and maybe make a bold move, and I can get fired up about it.
I got a question. Would you rather not make the playoffs and have a higher draft pick, or do that what happened in the playoffs the other day?
I'm tired of average.
I know. I'm with you.
9-8.
A little bit of me is like I would rather get the higher draft pick.
I hate saying that, but just slotting in every year at 500 is becoming tiresome. Yes.
And a lot of things got to happen. The ball's got to fall right, and this and that.
Yes.
I mean, hell, what was it? First 6 games of the year, 5-1, and you. I don't think.
And a 3-game losing stretch. That's 5 years in a row. We've had a 3-game losing streak in the middle of the season. That's cost us considerably.
Yeah. And now your Pens.
Bad. I will now focus fully on Penguin season, like a lot of Western Pennsylvania people, but Pens have played pretty well this year. Still in 7th place in the division, unfortunately. Which
you know what? So I mean, I have personal feelings that I have to root for the Buffalo Bills now with Johnny Butler and Sean McDermott.
Oh yes.
Who does Jeffrey Powers go for now?
Oh dear Lord, Houston Texans all the way. Can I get on the Texans bandwagon?
Sure.
Too late for that.
I mean, they're no
Buckeye. That's not good.
They're no Battlehawks, but it is what it is.
No. Let's go Houston Texans, I suppose.
I'm interested to see how they do outside of a dome.
Very,
very interesting to see. Me and Chris were talking off the air. I didn't look it up either. Do you know where Stroud is from originally?
I do not know.
I don't know either. I wonder if he's a Mutter. It's a big thing.
That is.
Because I think that Lamar is from South Florida, who went to Louisville, I believe, right?
Louisville, yes.
And then
before that,
we don't know how. I mean,
Lamar.
He doesn't do great in the playoffs. He really doesn't. He gets sort of exposed out there. So I'm interested to see if he's willing. If he's going to take that next step. So, well,
thank you.
Boots Man is here.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for always having us here. You know that, man.
Coming Quaker Steak and Lube. Appreciate you guys coming in, taking orders now for Super Bowl. If anyone wants to start pre-ordering chicken wings now for the Super Bowl, we'll have anything you need anytime you need it.
Any deals?
Oh yeah, we'll have plenty of them on the website here.
2,000 wings for $10.
Something like that.
Called the Goon Special.
Work on it. Yeah, that's.
But you don't. They're not cooked, nor are they sauced.
I'll pass it off.
You just have bones. So. Well, appreciate you, Dr. Powers. Thank you very much, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, back from his tour of Scandinavia.
Talk about getting Wally pipped. Ironhead might have a little bit to worry about,
Right?
I think, from what I heard coming in.
Powers,
By the way,
geez.
just to correct you a little bit, it's 3 of 4 so far, because the 4th meeting between Pittsburgh and Buffalo was just this past one. So the last 3, they've only met 3 times in the postseason.
The all-time, the winner went
far.
The winner of the game
3
went
for
to the
3.
Super Bowl.
We'll see. A lot of folks in Western New York hoping they can go 4 for 4.
I'm on board with them.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you have your ties up there also.
I am all for. I'm a Bills fan, and secondarily now, I guess I'm rooting for the Lions. I know you're not quite there yet. Maybe NFC rival is getting to you, but to me, any poor put upon fan base, I want to see them have their moment of glory. Cavaliers coming back against the Golden State Warriors. Cleveland deserved that. They deserved a little moment.
Were you happier for Cleveland, or you were happier for LeBron?
Oh, Cleveland, the city of Cleveland.
Okay, that's what I am then too.
Yeah.
Detroit. I like Campbell.
CJ Stroud's a California kid, by the way.
He is from California. Okay.
Rancho Cucamonga.
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah. We had a safety from there, Bobby Cucamonga. Oh Lord.
So how you doing, Goon?
I'm all right, man.
Ironhead's on his way out to Ann Arbor.
That was pretty funny the other day. I called you and I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you listened to the show." You're like, "Yeah," and I'm available.
Yeah.
Because Ironhead hadn't thought about it, nor had I, and he kept on talking about this wrestling match in Michigan Friday, and I'm like, "Jeff, when are you leaving to go to this?" "Oh, we're leaving Thursday afternoon." I said, "Well,
so I'll see you next week." That's what you said. So I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he made his picks.
For our radio listeners here locally here in Happy Valley on 93.7 The Fox, it's coming up at 6:30 tonight. Big high school wrestling match. Got Phillipsburg at I believe, Bald Eagle.
Ooh, some blood there, buddy.
I tell you what, man, there's in Central Pennsylvania. I was just talking to somebody else last week about the amount of elite level wrestling talent Pennsylvania exports to the rest of the country.
Sure.
And Ironhead talks about that a lot. It's not just Penn State can now recruit nationally. They get the best talent from all over the country.
Yep.
Like I was just listening to Bo Nickel on the Joe Rogan Experience.
From Texas.
And he's a Texas kid. But Pennsylvania, you look at the rosters of the most competitive programs all over the country, they got Pennsylvanians. I mean, Iowa likes to talk a lot of smack.
I think Iowa had 5 starters from their 5 of their top guys were from Pennsylvania last year or 2 years ago.
It was super competitive. Very in Central Pennsylvania, man.
And it's not just Central Pennsylvania. It's you go down where you're from in the Allentown area, man. That's heaven down there. That's life down there.
Yeah, there was a kid at my high school. I did not go to a big high school who was a scholarship wrestler at I want to say Slippery Rock, maybe. I mean, not a Division I program, but like a good school, good wrestling.
But a school like Edinburgh, this is Division I wrestling.
Oh yes, sir. Yeah.
But they're in Slippery Rock and all the other sports though.
Correct.
So you wonder if Slippery Rock's even they might be Division I.
I don't think they are, but we would not be the two to talk about it.
And you're pretty good, by the way, if you get money as a scholarship athlete in wrestling.
100%.
Because there's 9.9 scholarships.
Yes.
Even Penn State, even Iowa, Michigan, Ohio State, they only have 9.9 scholarships because they're not a full-fledged, they're Olympic sports still.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. And there's no way Penn State could easily just say, okay, we're having 25 scholarships easily. But they're not allowed to do that.
Correct.
It's nuts, man, how they have to maneuver. And I
definitely don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but right now there's a lot of court cases and congressional testimony going on that's going to completely upend that before too long.
Judy, I have to ask you, did you see the guy from Miami?
You're going to have to be more specific.
Okay, there's a guy named, I believe, I did look him up. I believe it's
the University of Miami or the city of
Miami? Back to Miami.
Okay.
Coming back to Miami. M. McCormick.
Okay.
He has announced, and the NCAA has okayed it, he is coming back for his 9th college football season. Okay? He was in the same high school recruiting class as Jalen Hurts and Nick Bosa.
Okay. All right.
9th collegiate football season.
And poor Talia Tungavailoa couldn't even get his 7th.
Right?
Boy. Man,
even
talk about a screw job.
9 seasons, man.
I don't know. We're going to look back on this era
I don't
of college
get. I mean, what's
sports
going
and
on?
shake our
I
heads.
know of a medical. I know of COVID. So at max 6 or 7. Now he may have gone. I think that the junior college stuff doesn't count, and that's what happened to the quarterback at Georgia, who doesn't Stedman, right?
Stetson Bennett. Yep.
Stetson Bennett. He'd been in college 8 years and still hadn't graduated because he had done 3 years as junior college ranks, which don't count, but they actually count towards your football, but doesn't count towards your Division I 5 years,
Correct.
which is absolutely nuts. But 9 years, and you said it from the start with this, with these guys making money and knowing that guy's not going to make the NFL. So why would they not sue to stay in college football if they can make the money that they're not going to make in the NFL?
Yeah.
You're the one who said this.
Mm-hmm. And the COVID extra year has made it easier for this window that seems to be about closed, but it's still, we're seeing the last fumes of it. And, if you're a college coach, you want the known commodity, right? You would much rather bank on a talent that and that you've got some, concrete film in the bank on than risk on a high school talent, right? So there's a whole generation of players who came up after the COVID kids who, yes, absolutely lost a ton of opportunities. But because of all the other rule changes concurrent to the extra COVID year, I mean, you see guys milking this for sometimes 2 and even 3 extra years. That generation of high school kids that came in right after them, they've absolutely lost years and years of opportunities that they would have otherwise had. And they're just going to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
They're really the ones who were victimized by the COVID shutdowns even more than the players who were in their prime of their college careers.
Yeah, so a guy who's in his 3rd or 4th year in college right now, he probably didn't have a high school senior year.
Right.
Because of COVID shutting down mostly in a lot of states. A lot of stuff was shut down. I'm just going to say my buddy at Michigan, Jimmy Rolder. He's in his 2nd full year at Michigan. But his senior year, he didn't have a high school senior year. They played in the spring, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and here was a guy playing baseball, but he's now going into his 3rd year at Michigan. Does he have another year? I mean, they sort of it's like every year.
Yeah, that's too bad.
They
too
keep
bad,
on
so sad.
saying hey, we got 2 more linebackers coming in. You're like, well, they have another year left. It's like, dude, when are they going away? When are they going to get out of here? So,
well, and one of the interesting things that was pointed out to me by Jim on Keystone Kickoff when I did it this week was that Penn State, you're seeing this weird pig through the snake effect where Penn State right now is bringing these guys in through the transfer portal. If you go and you look on the Fight On State scholarship tracker, Penn State is currently sitting at 95 guys on scholarship. So between now and the end of spring, they've got to figure out attrition-wise how to get 10 guys out of there by hook or by crook. Now, you might see some guys graduate and decide not to come back. You might see a few move on after spring practice in the transfer portal, but there are a lot of, to your point, underclassmen, true freshmen and redshirt freshmen, because the conveyor belt has kept going.
Full of questions.
And it's like that I Love Lucy episode, right? Because you're trying to move scholarships around. Exactly. You're miming the popping the chocolate into your mouth. That's it. Like, you're trying to move these scholarships around. And when a COVID guy uses a COVID year, that doesn't exempt you from the scholarship limit. And that's what made it so difficult. You remember back when...
Now, I have a question about
quick, when Penn State got sanctioned, the first year of the sanctions, when Bill just had to deal with complete Wild West, not only could you come in and poach a Penn State guy, if you took a Penn State guy,
free.
It didn't count against your scholarship limit. So I heard some people drawing some comparisons between that situation and the extra COVID years. But where the real hang-up is, if you have an upperclassman who wanted to take that extra year of eligibility, you were basically pitting his desire to do that against your ability to offer opportunities to younger players. And that was what got messed up.
Now, if you're a grad student, does that count as a scholarship?
Sure does. Yeah.
It does still.
Of course. Yeah.
Because I remember they don't have to take as many credits as an undergrad, but they still count against the scholarship thing. I thought maybe grad kids
if they're on scholarship at all.
Yeah, but they're not required to take the 12 credit semesters.
Correct.
I believe you could take 6 credits.
Yes.
But it's grad work.
Yep.
So
But they're in the matrix, man.
Yeah. So what you're saying to me is that there's 10 guys in this team right now who are not going to be on scholarship next year or not part of this program. Yes.
I am like 90% saying that without having had the time to sit and review it myself and see if there's some kind of like rule flexibility. The way it appears to me at first glance and the way it was explained to me when we were recording, and again, that was just dropped on me live, so I didn't do the background research. There are, for sure. You can look it up right now. Just Google Penn State scholarship matrix. There's 95 guys listed, and we know the limit is 85. So I'm not exactly sure how that works, other than to say you can always reasonably expect some attrition after the spring.
Sure. And that was the old, hey, you're not going to play. It's time for you to move on.
Yeah, well, you look at Storm Duck. You remember that guy? We brought him in through the transfer portal in January. Yeah, he was here through spring practice. He saw that the top 3 corner positions were pretty well locked down, and he left again because he was looking for playing time.
He went to Louisville?
He went to Louisville, correct. Yeah, went from North Carolina to Penn State to Louisville.
In 3 months, he was on 4 campuses.
Correct.
4.5 months.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Good
So
stuff.
what you're trying to say is that, okay, we have the possibility of 7 classes filling 85 scholarships because of that COVID thing.
You can maybe call it 6.5 at this point. Yeah.
You got to raise it up to 7.
Correct.
But it's just like the wash is, okay, well, everybody gets another year. This year doesn't count. They never took this into account. Now you're taking somebody else's scholarship away if a guy like Cam McCormick at Miami is playing his 9th college football season.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot of thought given because this was all done ad hoc, right?
Who made the decision?
That was an NCAA
there you go.
ruling. Yeah, I mean, just like if you look at the way the Big Ten handled the season that year,
yes,
on again, off again, on again. I think this was the same thing. There was an immediate problem in front of them. They're like, well, we screwed these guys, so how can we help them without thinking, okay, if we don't allow some massaging of the scholarship limit, of course, if you're James Franklin and you get a chance to have Sean Clifford as your starting quarterback again, you're going to take the known commodity. You're going to feel great with Stetson Bennett as your starter at Georgia, right? If you're Tagovailoa, you're going to play as many years as you can. But what does that do to the next generation of young quarterbacks? And there's only so many spots, at elite stops. And so, nobody thought about that. Nobody thought about what's the downstream second order effect of this on the kids who are sophomores and juniors in high school right now.
It's NCAA, and
Correct.
I don't think there's no thought process going into it. It was just like, oh, okay, no big deal. Everybody gets another year. Go ahead. I mean, that's it.
So, Goon.
Go move on. No, I got more questions on recruiting and NIL stuff and NIL and recruiting.
All right.
And all.
We'll do that before we get to a break. Go ahead. What do you got?
No, I'm just asking you, like, you and I talk off the air a lot about, like, you said known commodities.
Yes.
How much do you think Penn State or any school should look into the transfer portal to fill their roster versus their recruiting? How much do you think has changed?
So I've been paying attention to this since the transfer portal really geared up. And I think maybe there's not enough data available to definitively say this is the best way to do it.
Correct.
But I am going to conservatively say you're probably best off with like a 70-30, 75-25 split that favors high school recruiting. Yeah. I think if you look around the country, the best programs are still using high school recruiting as the foundation of their success. But like probably about a quarter of their roster now is turning over via the transfer portal. So I think from a scouting perspective, and we just saw the stories come out, Ben Jones at statecollege.com, some other folks, Mark Wogenrich at SI, talking about the big bump in recruiting spending that was evident in the last reported budget numbers from Penn State. I think you've basically got to treat high school recruiting and transfer portal recruiting equally when it comes to the resources and personnel you allocate to them, but in terms of your roster, because I think finding the right guys to fill that 20 to 30% is probably even more difficult than going out and identifying the top talent in college in high school. But in terms of your roster makeup, I think about 70-30 is where I would put it.
I am, you know me, I am of the ilk that the hardest position to recruit in high school is
Offensive line. Yes.
So why?
I agree with that, by the way.
If you're not a 4 or 5 star, which those guys bust out as much as the 1s and 2s.
Yeah, for sure.
They really do.
For sure. You and I talk all the time about, like, would Jeff Hardings have been more than a 2 or 3 star guy?
Jeff Hardings wouldn't be here. In today's NIL world, he wouldn't be here at Penn State.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They would never take a chance on him. They'd keep a scholarship from a 1 or 2 star like him, and they would say, okay, we can go after somebody in the offseason. So, you don't take a chance on him. A 4 and 5 star guy, yes, you recruit those type of kids because, again, they do bust out as much as the other guys too, more so, which, in my opinion, because
there's fewer of them.
You don't have a kid like Nolan Rucci is just like me. I was bigger, faster, stronger than everybody I played against.
Yep.
And football was easy to me. I used to just hit a guy and throw him around.
And that's no knock on you or any of those kids, because what else are you supposed to do? Right?
Yeah, you're taught that's how you play the game. So I come to Penn State. I literally have to relearn. I have to learn how to play football against guys that are just as strong, just as fast, and just as big as me.
I am totally blanking on the name of the center guard from Reading from a few years ago. Michael Mennett. Perfect example of a kid who was like top shelf recruit, but tough to judge because at the time he was going up against physically inferior competition. Yes. Did not start right out of the gate at Penn State because he had a lot of refining and technique improvement to do.
Yes.
When he had to learn what it was like to go up against Big Ten competition.
This is the difference in my 25 years ago when I played, and that is that you're expected to play year 1 and 2. That's not good. That's not a good thing. You and I've known you for 5 years now, and you've heard me say it before. You're starting and you're banking on high school seniors coming in next year and playing for you. You have a crap organization.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
If you see a freshman offensive lineman playing, one of 2 things is true. That guy is a unicorn or something really bad happened on your depth chart.
Correct. Yep. And then that's where I'm at is like, why do you waste your time going after high school kids when you can just say, you know what, why don't these kids go to the MAC? He's a 2-year star. He went to the MAC. He was a starter at Miami of Ohio. We know he can play. We can see him play against guys from Miami, see him play against guys from Ohio State, Michigan type of thing in the off-season games or out-of-conference games. You're going to know that guy, I can make that guy play. Where in high school, you don't know. So I think that it's got to be more 60-40 college kids, in my opinion, if you're going after offensive linemen. I really, really do think that. Because there was a kid here named Josh Marks from Southern Columbia.
Yes.
When I was coaching here. 5-star, and there was the other kid, the kid from Maryland, Antonio Loganell. These kids were 6'8", 340, 350 pounds, and who would just go out there. No one could go through them. No one could go around them, and they just looked like they were the greatest players in the history of the world. But guess what's going to happen? When they're playing against each other, they don't know how to play. They didn't know how to play the game of football. It's
kind of like when you see that Arch Manning film about how good of a scrambler he is, and he's running against like a defensive backs that look like Peter Dinklage out there. Yeah. It's like not super impressive.
Yeah.
Guys, it's going to be a little bit different when you're playing in the SEC. Yeah, that's a really interesting point about maybe upping the percentage of transfer portal guys you rely on because of the line, because your logic is sound to me. But when I look at the movement in the portal, and not just the total movement, but the impact transfers, it's still mostly at the outside skill positions. Like I'm not seeing a lot of movement in the trench.
Well,
you would think there'd be more of it. Yeah.
I think Rucci is a big thing here because he's in his 3rd year.
He's also, by the way, one of the biggest names to move in the offensive line in the portal.
I mean, he comes here, he starts right away. It's in his 3rd year. That's a 3-year starter. When I played, that was a unicorn 3-year starter. At offensive line.
Yep.
And now we're expecting these kids to be 3- and 4-year starters. It's the world. It's a different place, man. And then people get upset when kids leave and they don't play in the bowl games and they go to college. They leave for the NFL early. I mean, what we say, there's only so much tread left on your tires, and you've played 4 years in the Big Ten. You're beating the crap, man. You need to get out and get up to the NFL while you still have some tread on your tires. There we go.
And if you're not going to go to the NFL, you can play 9 years in college.
You can play 9 years in college and get $800,000 a year from some NIL sponsor.
Okay, folks, you are tuning in to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are, as we are every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. out here at Quaker Steak and Lube in State College. And as the good Dr. Jeff Powers reminded those of you who tuned in right at the top of the hour, there are plenty of Super Bowl specials already on the menu. So check them out. Call in, come in here to the Lube to watch the NFL Divisional Round of the playoffs this weekend, which is what we are going to talk about, along with the coaching carousel in the professional ranks, specifically focusing right here in Pennsylvania on Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Bucanani filling in for Ironhead. Keith Goon Conlon here with me. We'll be right back. You're listening to us on 93.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. This is Chris Bucanani filling in for Jeff the Ironhead.
It's
Fires.
the Goon and Ironhead.
I'm not
WNBC.
I'm not going to say it like that, but thanks everybody for joining us here, whether you're joining us online or locally here in Happy Valley on 93.7 The Fox. We're at the Lube. We're talking NFL. And I wanted to get into the coaching carousel a little bit, and we will. But again, if you can't listen to us on the radio, you can always tune in via the Goon and Ironhead Show Facebook page or YouTube channel. And we have a comment here from one of our loyal listeners on Facebook. From Alan Weiser, the OG. This is a good one, Goon. A Penn State football letterman will play in the Super Bowl this year. As you know from that infamous graphic, Penn State has played in every Super Bowl except for the ones these two, like 2 or 3 or whatever. I mean, it's nearly all of them. Can you name the Penn State letterman on each team remaining in the playoffs?
No.
You don't think you can? The question is between the two of us, can we do it? Thank you, Alan. That's a good question.
What's the actual number, Alan?
Let's go through the games.
Well, the Chiefs have Donovan Smith.
And the Bills have 2 offensive linemen. They have
Bates and McGovern.
Ryan Bates and Connor McGovern. Okay. So Baltimore has Adafe Owe and Jordan Stout. And the Texans have Juice Scruggs. And I want to say there might be another one. But I know at least for sure they got Juice. So that takes care of the AFC. Okay, let's go around over to the NFC.
Packers have an O-lineman.
Rasheed Walker on the Packers. Too bad, Adrian Amos, all those years there in Green Bay. And then they finally get back to the playoffs. And
he go.
Yep, he was a Jet this year. Okay, so Green Bay is playing San Francisco, who has Kevin Givens.
Yep.
And Jair Brown. Yeah, so Givens and Brown on the 49ers. And then
so we did the Packers already.
Detroit, Jason Cabinda. And they are who's Detroit playing? Oh, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chris Godwin. So there you go. Oh, yeah. Oh, and of course, Sean Clifford, too, on the Packers.
Jesus.
So that's pretty cool. Guaranteed. There's going to be a Nittany Lion in the Super Bowl. From both conferences.
We have somebody on every team.
Yeah.
So you're guaranteed to have the winner then.
Indeed.
And you're guaranteed to have a Super Bowl champion on that.
And Penn State is actually 3rd among college programs with alumni playing in the divisional round this weekend. I think it is Georgia and maybe Florida State ahead of us. But I don't quote me on the Florida State, but I know for sure Georgia has 15, Penn State has 13.
Still remaining.
Yeah.
By the way, I did see a stat today, and this is completely off of what we're just talking about. The 74 Steelers draft. They picked 4 Hall of Famers in that one draft. Lambert, Stallworth, Swan, and Mike Webster.
That is insane.
That draft total has produced 5 Hall of Famers, and 4 were on one team.
Well, that actually is a great stat to pivot into.
Freaking believable.
What I want to talk about next, Goon.
Go ahead, buddy.
So, a lot of coaching talk to get into in the NFL. But let's start. I know you and Ironhead have dealt with this, but I think it's a topic everybody is focused on.
Yep.
Head coaching situations in Philly and Pittsburgh. Let's start, since you brought up the Steelers, in Pittsburgh. It looks like no big surprise. Mike Tomlin's job is safe. To me, I get rubbed the wrong way a little bit. Again, full disclosure, as a non-Steelers fan, I grew up on the eastern side of the state. I'm an Eagles guy.
But you respect.
But I respect the organization. I've lived in central Pennsylvania for now longer than I lived in eastern Pennsylvania.
You're not allowed to leave.
What's that?
Because you're not allowed to leave.
That's correct. I start to fade away like Marty McFly in the picture, the farther away I get from Happy Valley.
You got me giggling already, Booch.
So I've been around Steelers fans, Steelers media. It does kind of irritate me sometimes, the attitude that Tomlin took when somebody asked him about his job after the game. Like he gets pissy. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on the radio. He gets irritated when people ask him about his job status. And I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, well,
like you haven't won a playoff game since Christ was a boy. Like, you want to preach toughness and you want to talk to your guys about being tough. Like, how about you stand in there and take the question like a man? Because when you're the head coach of an organization like the Steelers, people are not looking for participation trophies. You know, so like the question's going to come.
He opened up his press conference today by saying, "Does anybody have any contract questions? I'm in a much better mood."
Yeah, I heard it. Neat. Like,
so I get it. To me, he was miserable after that game.
Yeah, well, too bad. Too bad. Like, if you want to do the job for free, if you want to do it for minimum wage, then by all means, let your emotions dictate how you do it. If you want to get paid millions of dollars and you want to throw a gauntlet down every time someone asks you a tough question, then, like, guess what? I have no sympathy for you when you childishly just walk out of the room after you just, dumped overboard in the first round for the 5th time in a row. And somebody's going to ask you, do you think after 17 years, one Super Bowl and a lot of underperformance by any reasonable standard, you think you should still be back here for number 18? That's a totally reasonable question. And although I'm not somebody who necessarily thinks they should let him go, I don't think any Steelers fan who says this is it, this is the end of the line, he's a good coach, but it's he's played out the string here and he needs a change of scenery, and so do we. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a completely reasonable position to hold as a Steelers fan.
That's Andy Reid in Philadelphia. You and I talk about this all the time.
Yep.
Andy Reid wore his welcome out. It was done. He ran the whole thing in Philadelphia.
Do you know when I knew it was over for Andy Reid? And it was before he made the offensive line coach the defensive coordinator.
Oh, Lord.
When I knew it was over for Andy Reid, who had always, along with the front office, very militantly stuck to, we're going to build a team through the draft, and we're going to build through the draft starting in the trenches.
Yep.
When they started going out and taking those big swings in free agency, I knew he, in his own mind, had a sense that it was starting to come to an end.
Correct.
And that was his attempt to try to cut corners and, cut the line a little bit. And what had made the organization and made Reid as a coach so successful for well over a decade at that point was that disciplined approach to constantly building the team through the draft, starting at both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Packers.
And as soon as they got away from that, I was like, this is it. It's done.
It was
and
the Packers way.
Yep.
I mean, Holmgren, he came from Mike
Yes,
Holmgren's
he was a
tree,
Mike
so that was
Holmgren
it.
tree
You build
guy.
it through the draft, and then you have faith in your guys, and and then you. I mean, was Reid there when they drafted the fireman?
He was.
Yeah, because he bought Howard Muddin to play offense to be the O-line coach.
Yep.
And he drafted a 28-year-old rookie who was a fireman from Canada.
And I was watching the Eagles this past weekend.
John Harris.
Oh boy, that's too deep a cut for this audience. John Harris, Jon Harris. If you're in front of a computer, go Google him. John Harris, Eagles. All I remember,
Mel Kiper,
is they didn't even have a clip.
Mel Kiper
ready
is on
to
like page
queue
like
up for the
32.
guy. First round pick by the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'll never forget the quote. Man, Philadelphia was really want this guy. I didn't have him going until the 5th round. I remember looking at my dad, and I was like, "Well, it's going to be another long year." So
that was Ray Rhodes.
Big improvement on the personnel side for the Eagles from the 90s to the 21st century.
My Steelers feeling is that, I'm like Ironhead, and that is who are you going to go out and get, this and that. But you also got to realize that Mike Tomlin's a perfect coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's that low, even keel dude. Like, he doesn't need that big splashy thing. I mean, so
going back to your point,
what they do.
Going back to your point about the 74 draft where Pittsburgh hits big and drafts 4 Hall of Famers in one draft. Now, they haven't done that since, but I mean, that's virtually impossible to do. They had, in the mid-90s, had a run of draft picks that were either like Casey Hampton style 10-year starters or Roethlisberger, Palomalu, first ballot Hall of Famer types.
Ward.
And so one of the things when I look at the factors that go into the decision about whether or not you want to move on from a guy like Tomlin, that argues in his favor is the Steeler way is stability, right? Continuity. They've had 3 coaches in our lifetime. And that's been, or at least has been viewed by most people as the backbone of that franchise's success, is its commitment to stability. On the other hand, I do wonder when you look at the unbelievable success of their front office in terms of bringing in the right talent. And by the way, when free agency got introduced, knowing when to cut bait with a guy. Remember Chad Brown?
Of course.
Star linebacker on that Super Bowl team, 95, becomes a free agent, and Pittsburgh doesn't tender him. And everybody thought, oh, nuts. You're nuts to not bring this guy back in. He gets a huge contract from the Seahawks, and what did he do after that? Nothing. I don't think he was in the league.
It was the Eagles.
3 years later.
Eagles way. That was the Eagles' show too. Was like they never signed that big 3rd contract.
Yep.
They overpay your 2nd contract because they want you there. They want you. They give you that love. They may give it to you early too, but you're not going to get that 3rd one. Troy Vincent, Bobby Taylor, Eric Allen. They weren't going to get those big. They weren't going to pay those big paydays to those guys at the end.
And so my question is, when you look at how good the Steelers' personnel management has been, I'm not taking anything away from Noel, Cowher, or Tomlin. But is it reasonable to at least ask the question, does the roster management play as much as or even bigger of a role in the franchise's success than its commitment to just having the same coach there for 20 years? So if they would have let Bill Cowher go after he lost whatever it was 3 or 4 AFC championship games and brought in somebody else, brought in their equivalent of Doug Peterson, would it have been any different if they drafted the same guys and they kept Dick LeBeau there, in the same way that Doug Peterson kept Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, and O-line was the strength of these Philadelphia teams since he's been there? Would it have made that much of a difference? So are you overweighting the importance of sticking with a coach when in reality the source of your success stems at least as much from the front office, where they have not drafted nearly as well this past decade, and what they've had less success, right? Because it's Jimmy's and the Joes, right? Like, it's just unbelievable when you look at that run of and it's not just the guys at the very top of the draft. Those are the headliners. Again, you think Hampton, Palomalu, Roethlisberger, Keith Miller. They made timely free agent pickups. And then, DeCastro, Pouncey, you talked about Hines Ward, so many guys that they brought in later rounds, too, who were big contributors. I just
TJ Watt, was he a first round draft pick?
I believe that he was first or second round, but I mean, but they have not had the same kind of consistent success in the first round. When you go back and you look at the 2000s, one of their worst first round picks is Kendall Simmons, and he was a just okay starting right guard, right? So they still got a starter with one of their worst picks in the decade. So I do just wonder if you should be focusing more on the personnel strategy. Although I will say, I think the past 2 years, Pittsburgh has had 2 of the best drafts. So it may be that if, as a Steelers fan, you can keep TJ Watt healthy and try to figure out that quarterback situation, everything else seems to be moving in the right direction, which argues for stability. So
by the way, you know what I didn't do the other day?
Yeah,
talk to Ironhead about that 5-play run where we had 3 Penn State players taken off the field.
That was crazy.
McGovern got hurt, and then McGovern hurt Joey Porter Sr., and then A-Rob got dinged up.
Yeah.
In about a 5 or 6 play span, there was 3 Penn State guys getting drug off the field. People said it was a cheap head on Joey Porter. It's not. He's trying to clear the pile, which I know is illegal to run the pile. I get it. He was trying to push that pile. He just ended up hitting Joey Porter and busting his head. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't think there was an intent to injure.
Is Bates playing now, or did he get hurt?
If he's hurt, I don't know about it. I know he lost his starting gig.
He did lose the job.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
So they love him up in Buffalo because he's got position versatility.
McGovern has had 10 times the success in Buffalo that he had in Dallas.
Yes.
He did not play great in Dallas, I thought, at times. But it was also – Dallas wasn't that good.
Sometimes, change of scenery can help.
Yeah.
And sometimes –
change the scheme, too. Yeah.
You just got to be in the league for a little while. You got to be good enough to be able to stay on a roster till everything falls in place. Look at Raheem Mostert. You and I know, I don't know how much of the general audience knows, he was a Philadelphia Eagle at one time.
I didn't know that.
And people look back at that and they say, how do you let a guy like that get out of your building? 3 other teams cut him before he caught on with San Francisco because he just had to keep chipping away. And I heard an interview with him. He said, listen, I have no ill will against the Eagles. There were a lot of other teams that cut me. Everybody gave me a chance, and I learned everywhere I went. And if I wouldn't have had the learning experiences that came with getting cut in other teams' camps, I wouldn't have been ready for the opportunity when it was there in San Francisco. And, now he got a big contract this past year and got the bag from the Dolphins. But there's sometimes you're good enough to stay in the league. You're not good enough to play down, in, and out right out of the gate. And I think that was the case with Connor. I mean, he just looks like a better player now than he did.
Does. He was way out of place in Dallas, I thought. I don't know what it was, but he's fixed it. And then, again, it might be a scheme difference. I mean, Allen's a lot more mobile than Dak Prescott. So, he might be getting beat and he can read that. I don't know. but he's played outstanding compared to what he was doing down in Dallas. So.
And back to your question about Bates, by the way, I do think a little bit of Penn State on Penn State violence of a different sort than we saw with McGovern on Joey Porter. They like Bates because he's position versatility. He actually kind of broke through with them a few years ago when their starting center got hurt, and he stepped in and played really well. I think they view him correctly, I believe, as a natural left guard.
Yep.
And I think I'm not 100% on this, but I think McGovern kind of quasi took his job when he got there. But now they view him in sort of the same way.
Before, though.
Yeah, well, I think they view him the same way the Eagles did Isaac Seumalo when he was there. He was drafted to be a potential Jason Kelce replacement. He could play center, but he could play both guard spots as well, and eventually ended up becoming a starter. But before he did, the Eagles loved that they had one guy who could be their primary backup at all three interior line spots. Absolutely. I think that's the way Buffalo looks at Ryan Bates.
Correct. I mean, absolutely, 100% correct. So we got to get into these games this weekend, Bubba.
Well, we'll do that in a little bit. Let me first definitively.
Now you want to get back into the coaching.
Yeah, I want to talk coaching a little bit more.
Well, right off the get.
Go ahead.
Stay or go, Sirianni.
Well,
what's your
feeling? Yeah.
Versus
what do I think is going to happen?
happen?
I think he should go, which is tough for me to say about an Italian head coach, but. I think he should. I think he is going to stay. All indications seem to be pointing in the direction of him staying. Now, again, for the listening audience, especially I know a lot of Steelers fans out there in the footprint who may be casually following the Eagles and not following us too closely. When Philadelphia decided to part ways with Doug Peterson, Super Bowl winning coach who had clearly kind of lost the locker room and lost the team, in large part because the team had a bunch of success, his coordinators left, and the guys with whom he replaced them did not do a good job. Jeff Lurie called him in, that's the Eagles owner, called him in, and in their postseason meeting, now the Eagles had not made the playoffs that year. They had had a worse collapse in some regards than they did this year, although that's arguable, I guess. Lurie gave him a chance to lay out his plan for fixing what had gone wrong. And reportedly, the KOD for Doug was that he wanted to try to retain a lot of his staff, which is not what Lurie wanted to hear, and that was it, and he was gone. So Lurie's vacationing. He's, doing what extraordinarily rich guys do in January. He's off to warmer climates, but he is going to have a sit down. I don't know if he's going to fly in or he's going to do it by Zoom or whatever, but he's talking to Nick Sirianni today, and apparently it's the same situation. What's your plan? And you're stinging for your supper here. So before Doug Peterson got let go, you were seeing the same sorts of stories in the 48 hours prior as you have with Nick Sirianni right now. The team is reaching out to potential coordinator candidates to gauge their interest. I just don't get the same vibe this time around as I did then. If I had to bet, I think Nick Sirianni is back, in part because what I'm reading today is that he's been advised by people who were close to the team and close to that process. Look, don't do what Doug did. Jeff is not happy, and he does not want to hear stay the course. Yep. You got to go in there with a radically different plan. I also
think Frank Reich wanted out, or Doug wanted out. I
think there may have been a lot of that too, and I don't think Nick does.
I don't think he does.
I think he wisely doesn't. So I don't think he's going to move on. I am not somebody who is a quick pull the trigger, fire the head coach guy. If you want my opinion, though, I think the nature of the collapse, the degree to which it looked like he had completely lost the team, and that there were no answers, none, for the way that team played down the stretch. I mean, you had 8 weeks where the alarm bells were going off, and you could not figure out anything. And in many ways, it seems like it got worse.
I still fell for it. You fell for what? Monday. I thought they were going to go out there and beat Tampa Bay.
I thought they could maybe beat Tampa Bay. I thought that was the extent of it. But yeah, I mean, and the fact that they weren't even competitive in that game shows you everyone was checked out.
Yep.
Everyone was checked out. And so to me, that's where I look at it. And I think you, Nick Sirianni, have not done enough to earn the benefit of the doubt. I just talked about how much of it is personnel and roster depth and how much of it is coaching acumen. I just haven't seen enough to believe that if you double down and bring him back next year, that it's not going to be a situation where everyone understands the guy's skating on thin ice, and that ends up putting your season in a precarious situation before it even starts. So to avoid that, I think you just start fresh. I think there's a lot of good potential replacements on the market this year, like big names. You could go out, you can interview a Jim Harbaugh, and who knows if that's going to be the case next year. So I would move on, but I don't think they're going to.
I know we're going to break.
Yeah.
You just said it. You'd be okay if he took over the Eagles.
100%.
Oh, my God.
What's your argument against it other than you're a Penn State fan, you don't like him because he was at Michigan?
I'm a Penn State fan, and I don't like him because he's from Michigan.
Okay, fair. But you're an Eagles fan, too. I don't care.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know the personality down there, the people. Where my problem with Sirianni is that he tried to be too much like the people.
Okay.
And he was like,
yeah, that bothers
fake.
you. By the way, that bothers you way more than it bothers me.
I just think he's fake. He's showing up in his Phillies jersey or his Sixers jersey.
You took it.
He's trying to buy the love of and the passion of Eagles fans.
To me,
that's what they have. They are passionate.
Here's how I viewed it. I just had a different take on it. And I know you're not alone in that. A lot of people saw it as smarmy. They saw it as pandering. I look at it as the same way, and they said the same thing about Bryce Harper. To me, both of those guys figured out, look, I'm here. This is where I am, and this is where I want to be. So, I am going to be of the place and be of the people. So, that to me is not let me off the hook because I wore a throwback Sixers jersey to a press conference. It's this is me. I'm Italian. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm in a place.
And
I love it.
What do the coaches wear their shirts?
What's that?
What do the coaches wear their nationalities on their shirts?
I don't know.
Exactly. It's about him. He's rocking the Italian flag, him and Big Dom out there.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, I am disclosing my bias like everybody in the media should.
You said you want to keep the Italian American coach.
Yes,
there. I was like, well, why does it even have to be an Italian? And that's why. I think he's a jabroni. I think he's a fake. I think he came in there trying to. I mean, who is the ultimate Philadelphia athlete? He just retired.
Jason Kelce.
Absolutely. And I think that he gets it, but I think he comes about it naturally. I don't think Bryce Harper is 100% natural when his talk and how much he loves the Eagles and the Philadelphia fans and all this stuff. Is he just pandering? I don't know. Do I think it's a little contrived and fake? Yes, I do. Personally, you grew up a Cowboys fan, and all of a sudden you're an Eagles fan because you live in Philadelphia. What do you think?
I mean, where's he from?
From Las Vegas. I get it. I mean, yeah.
But when Bryce Harper was growing up, Las Vegas was Texas. You understand this, right?
Well, was that what professional teams?
Yes,
I got you. I understand that.
I mean, there was a whole section of the country that was
UNLV.
Texas.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well,
Jerry
did he grow? It's like LeBron James. He grows up in Akron, but he's a New York Yankees fan. But come on, man. I just find that fake. I find those people fake. You gotta like where you're from. That's just where I come from. You gotta like where your teams, and that's it. You get beat up if you don't.
Well, I think so. We don't have.
And Harper also has a bigger, longer leash because he is an athlete.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, just to comment on the Harper thing, nobody cares about this. We're going to go to a break here in just a minute, and we'll talk about something more relevant on the other side, folks.
Beautifully relevant.
If Bryce Harper was from Dallas, Texas,
yep,
and then switched his allegiance, I'd feel differently about it than he's from Las Vegas and whatever.
I think 20 years from now, he's still going to be a Cowboys fan. When he's not living in the South Jersey area, you watch. He could go back to the Cowboys.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll take that bet and we'll come back.
When I'm 181 years old,
20 years from now, on the Lion Country Kia Goon Ironhead show, which comes to you every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. right here on the social media channels, Facebook and YouTube of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show and WFXS. That's hard for me to say. Pleasant Gap State College, 93.7 The Fox. We're going to take a break here from Quaker Steak and Lube, and we will talk more NFL coaches and the NFL Divisional Round on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. I'm Chris Bucanani, filling in for Jeff the Ironhead Byers, joined by Keith Goon Conlon. We are live at State College's Quaker Steak and Lube, a great place to enjoy watching live sports on the ample flat panel TVs all over the place. Not a bad seat in the house when you're out here watching NHL, the NBA, the NFL playoffs, you name it, MLB, when that comes around, which will be soon enough, enjoying that alt bev and get access to the best and broadest selection of wing sauces and dry rubs in the Happy Valley.
Tell me, man.
And I'm not just saying that. Truly, I've been a Quaker Steak and Lube guy
barbecue
since before we had one here in Center County, because one of my roommates in college was from Pittsburgh. So I was first introduced to it like over 20 years ago on trips back to visit him.
Oh, you go? You go
yeah.
there?
We'd go to the Lube. Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think where my wing place was when we were here. Was that
the Dark Horse? The
Pazzo's Revenge.
Yep.
That was that's when I moved back.
The Days Inn.
The Days
I can
Inn
mention all these
club.
places because I'm not mentioning a competitor because they're all
Days Inn Comedy Club, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, and they had great wing
great
night.
Wing special. Yep.
Champs always had great wings. I'm trying to think. I think it had to be. I think the Monday night thing at the Days Inn, whatever the Comedy Zone or whatever the They were fantastic.
Yeah, I
wings.
forget what the exact special
Something
was, but it was good.
Side street or something street wings or Fifth Avenue, Sixth Avenue,
I can't help you.
Second Avenue. Some kind of like movie comedy club type of thing, but it was very good. They had good wings. And then Champs, what I always say about Champs, always, I said it's the same wing I had in 1993 as I had the last time I went there. And that's what I love. I love that they do the same thing.
They have had the same sauce for as long as the
Same
Steelers have
wing,
had Mike Tomlin as their
same
head
menu,
coach.
and they do it very, very, very well.
Okay,
Bottom
so
line.
I want to go back to Tomlin for a minute, and I'm going to use this to transition into talk about Nick Sirianni as well, because I think both of those guys are in a comparable situation in that a lot of scrutiny, even if they stick around, on who they hire to the coordinator spots.
Yeah.
So
now is Tomlin getting pressure to replace? Was it Terrell Austin down there as DC?
I don't think it's no.
Okay, he's
I
got to
don't.
replace
Yeah,
candidate.
I don't think. Look, if you're worried about the Steelers' defense right now, you are barking up the wrong tree. Like the key to keeping that defense competitive is keep TJ Watt from playing so many reps so he doesn't get hurt.
Correct.
All the focus, of course, is on offensive coordinator. Now, I joke with my buddies who are Steelers fans. I laugh all the time with Chris the Buzzsaw Adamski, my buddy who covers the Steelers for TribLive.com, that I don't think the Steelers have liked their Steelers fans have liked their offensive coordinator for 20 years. I think every loss since I have moved up here to go to Penn State has been the offensive coordinator's fault. It didn't matter. It could be Bruce Arians. It could be who is that guy who ended up coaching the Chiefs? That guy was a total clown.
Literally just thinking about him because that was the one. His dad was a Pittsburgher. He grew up at went down for St. Clair, and he coached the Cardinals.
Yeah. Anyway, people, Wisenhunt. It didn't matter. The Steelers fans.
When Wisenhunt and Calver on the sideline together, they look like brothers.
They hate their offensive coordinator.
Okay, even with Bruce Arians.
It was no different this year with Matt Canada. So I think there is going to be a lot of attention paid to this hire because even though I don't think there is any chance Mike Tomlin's getting let go, it also seems a little weird, right, that he'll be going into the last year of his contract, which I know has happened before. But when the pressure is on for you to make a good coordinator hire, if you're one of the top candidates on the market for an offensive coordinator job, do you want to go somewhere where you don't know that the head coach has any kind of job security? Because you might be back out on the market in a year. And you can see in the NFL, you're a hot commodity one day, and then you're yesterday's news the next.
Yeah.
So even if you're at the top of the pile this year, is there any guarantee from your perspective as somebody who's picking between jobs that you're going to be as in demand if you're in Pittsburgh for 1 year and the whole staff gets let go?
As an OC, you're really going to look at it and say, okay, what cards am I being dealt here? I have a quarterback situation where the ownership and the coach are probably going to force the first rounder down my throat, even though that the third round guy or fifth round guy, whatever Mason Rudolph was, they're just going to leave him behind.
Well, and I heard you and Powers talking about it at the top of the last hour.
Kenny Pickett will be quarterback, and then Mike Tomlin will be the head coach, and he'll just go on and be happy about being 9 and 8, 10 and 7.
Kenny Pickett is the only guy from this year's quarterback room who's back. Obviously, there's no motivation or interest in keeping Mitch Trubisky, and I don't know that they are going to pay Mason Rudolph what another team might pay him to go in and be one of those guys who is either
he's not taking a company discount. The way he was treated in the last 3 or 4
for
years.
sure. They're going to have to pay him market value, and I think his market value is going to be in the $5 to $7 million range. You brought up Tyrod Taylor. I think he's a perfect comparison in terms of a guy you feel really, really solid about as your number 2. And if you're a team with a shaky quarterback situation, you bring him in, and he can maybe compete to be your starter.
Nick Foles.
So, yes, there's going to be no hometown discount. They're going to have to pay him market value.
Nick Foles.
And
Chase
I think
Daniels.
I think, Goon, that if the money is equal, I think he'll leave Pittsburgh just to get away from the organization at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
because they've treated him pretty poorly.
Yes, they treated him like crap, man. I mean, there's your starting quarterback who goes out and wins you games, and He's not happy. You know that the coach doesn't like him, and then Kenny Pickett. They obviously have a horrible relationship, him and Pickett.
Yes, yeah.
Which is crazy because it's like, did Pickett come in there and like treat Mason Rudolph like you're the third string quarterback, and Mason Rudolph's won games in the NFL.
The one thing I liked about Kenny Pickett when they brought him in, not the one thing, but one of the things I liked about him was that he seemed like he would be a good locker room guy.
Yeah.
And the recent vibe around him has been the opposite.
Pissy,
of that.
like Aaron Rodgers like.
Yes. And from the other side of it, if you're Mason Rudolph and you have just been like traumatized by the way your coach and the organization has treated you, and then you're sitting, imagine being Mason Rudolph and what we saw from him at the end of this season. You're that guy, and you're sitting there third on the depth chart behind a rookie who's in his second year and has still never thrown 2 touchdown passes in a game, and Mitch Trubisky, who looks like he barely knows how to play the sport, and they're telling you you're the emergency quarterback.
Yep. Looking down at you saying that.
Yeah. You're where most teams put their 6th round draft pick rookie. You're Josh Johnson. All right, buddy. You're riding in the jump seat. I don't know, man. Like, I wouldn't be too charitable.
Well, how about when he was attacked by Myles Garrett? No one in the organization really stood up for him.
Yeah. No, except for was it Pouncey who was right there? Yeah.
Well, that's how you know that word wasn't said.
Correct. Yes.
Because Pouncey, if he had heard that, who was right next to him, he would not have gone after Myles Garrett if that word was said by Rudolph. So I call horse crap on the whole thing.
Yeah, that would be a big problem.
I'm very upset.
And you also would have heard about it right away.
The NFL nor the Steelers did anything about that.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think there's a coach. There's a hometown, not a hometown, but a discount towards the Steelers from Mason Rudolph.
Okay, so to the point, like maybe Mike Tomlin gets a contract extension. If he doesn't, you're looking at I'm going to work for a lame duck. You look at the offensive personnel. I don't know how great you feel about it, right? I mean, they got a good offensive line.
They got better. 2 hell of running backs.
A solid running back duo. Pickens, like, I don't know what it is about the wideout spot.
They're insane,
but the better you are, the crazier you are, it seems generally. And you look at that and you say, I don't know that they've got somebody who can get them the ball on a consistent basis. Is Tomlin going to be able to go out and get an A-list offensive coordinator? I don't know. The allure of being part of the Steelers organization is pretty strong. Tomlin is very highly respected among his peers. On the other hand, there's a lot of teams out there that are competing for a small pool of talent.
Yeah.
And if he cannot make an A-list hire, do you think that's overcomable for him? I mean, at one point or another,
let's take
you have to look at it and say, like, we had a good run. It's time to move on.
They're not exactly going to pay top dollar for a top offensive coordinator.
That is a good point.
They just don't do it. Like, I'm still amazed that they fired Matt Canada this year because the Rooneys don't want to pay 2 guys to do one job.
Yep.
And that's it. I mean, you could say that's cheap. I say it's good business, and they stick to their business plan and stuff like that. I just don't see them going out and getting this, a top guy who's going to, be worth $4 or $5 million a year. I don't think the Steelers organization will do that. I don't think the owners will do that. That's just me. That's just my opinion of them.
And so to me, if I'm looking at it, that's maybe the only reason I seriously consider making the move, because if all you're really doing is committing to doubling down on what you've been doing and running it back, how many more years of underperformance in the regular season and futility in the postseason you need to have before you pull the trigger and say enough is enough? You've either got to be committed to making significant changes, or you've just got to blow it up and say it's time to try something.
And then, Cowher left on his own fruition, right? Cowher's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Or was he asked to leave? They don't fire nobody.
No. Yeah, he did not.
They were not
fired.
going to fire
I think it was, you were talking about Doug Peterson probably wanted out of Philadelphia by the time he did his exit interview.
Yep.
I think it was pretty clear from the last season.
He's
I have
done.
never, ever seen an NFL head coach mail in an entire year the way Bill Cowher did his last season. Like, I'm surprised he actually showed up on game day by the end of that season.
Side out with coffee. Like,
Yeah, it was pretty clear. He got his ring and he was done.
He was done.
And you look at it, I don't think he has seriously entertained an offer to go back and coach ever again. There were some NFL teams that poked around, some college teams that poked around. I don't think once he got a taste of how much money he could make and how little work he had to do to be on television, I don't think he was ever going back.
And that's where I'm at with Tomlin, because Tomlin can go, he could name his price if he wants to go into the booth.
Sure.
As an analyst, but I think he's also a host on game day, ABC or NBC.
Here's the thing,
Fox,
though. I don't think
CBS,
he's wired up to do it.
No, I think he still has that coaching bug in him.
Yeah.
But Cowher was done.
Yeah.
Tomlin,
Yes.
I don't know.
He was happy
You
to go.
can see where Tomlin could just, 1 minute and just be like, I'm chill, I'm out. I'm done.
You always ask the question with Tomlin, who are you going to get? And it's not just that. I think it's if you have a coach who, conservatively, a third of the league would call the agent immediately if he was let go, including teams that weren't going to fire their head coach but might consider it just to get your guy. Do you maybe just say, look, we got to hang on to this guy?
You think Tomlin is that respected amongst his peers like that?
Let's say that
even now, after not having a victory in 7 years in the playoff game.
Let's say the Rooneys don't own the Steelers, okay? It's a generic NFL owner who can't stand 5 playoff losses in a row, and they give him the boot. I think he has probably 10 phone calls within the first 48 hours, and I think he vaults over practically every candidate on the market, including potentially Belichick. There are probably some organizations that have Harbaugh or Belichick as their number one guy.
Correct.
And in those places, he's number 2. Everywhere else, he's maybe number 1.
Now, you just said the BB word.
Yeah.
You talked to me the other day about how you asked my opinion, and I said what my opinion was, and I was like, no, I don't want him. He's too old. I don't think he get along with Howie. But the Ironhead got me all wrapped around, twisted me up inside, balled me up in my head.
Okay, so would you take Bill Belichick in Philadelphia is the question. By the way, folks, you are tuning in to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show, simulcasting locally here on 93.7 The Fox in Happy Valley. We're live at Quaker Steak and Lube, and we are talking NFL coaching carousel.
Yeah, so I believe when Ironhead said it, I think that Belichick just wants that NFL record. He needs 16 wins to get the all-time NFL.
Yes.
That was going to take 5 or 6 years in New England. So he goes to Philadelphia, a proven commodity.
It could take 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, he's part of that rebuild. I don't think he wants to be part of that.
Yeah,
so he goes to Philadelphia. You have a proven commodity right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to be the GM. You got Howie Roseman to do that. He takes all care of all the draft, all the free agency, this and that. Bill, we just want you here to coach. And I think that Belichick's at that point in his career where he doesn't. We think that he wants all this control, and which, by the way, I stole your line the other day, which never works.
Never works.
Never has.
I don't know that there's an
organization
in the league that you would want to work for that would offer it to you. I mean, it's like the Groucho Marx joke. I would never want to be a member of a club that would have me as a member. It's like you shouldn't want to go work for any owner who says, "Oh yeah, sure, you can be the GM."
What do you want? Whatever you want. You can be anything you want.
That to me is a sign that if you're serious about getting another ring, which I'm not sure that he is, but if you are, you don't want to work for a guy who's going to give you so much leeway that you get to be the head coach and the GM.
A team like the Philadelphia Eagles does not need to offer that because they do have a commodity that's pretty good.
Correct.
A San Diego Chargers
I
and
also
Atlanta
think, by
Falcons.
the way, after having it with Chip Kelly, I don't think Lurie will ever do it again.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like I said, but you're going to have like the Chargers, the Falcons, who aren't these beautifully lovable jobs. That might interest somebody to leave and go work for the Chargers or the Falcons. Is being the everything, the GM and the coach.
Oh, yeah. Arthur Blank would give him 10% of
but
the
he
team.
has to because he's the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, right.
I think Jeffrey Lurie has a little bit more football value than the Atlanta. The Eagles are a little more valuable franchise than the Atlanta Falcons or the San Diego Chargers or the Houston Texans or the Carolina Panthers.
Listen,
they have to go and do those things.
Justin Herbert's a great player. I think by far Philadelphia's got the best quarterback situation.
With Hurts.
Yes.
Who's not hurt or is hurt.
Dinged up a little bit.
I need to know, dude.
Because
that guy I saw play Sunday was absolutely petrified of getting hit. And that's everything that Jalen Hurts never was before. I
think his hand was messed up. I think his knee's messed up. I think he needs that offseason.
Yes. So this happened last year with the knee and the ankle, right? We're still dealing with that? And then the finger, what did he have? Did he have a foot surgery in the offseason? I swear he had a foot surgery in the offseason.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, the shoulder was the Bears game last year.
Yes.
Getting closer towards the end of the year.
Yep.
And I don't think it ever recovered from that, to be honest with you. He had an unbelievable Super Bowl and playoff run last year. But, you watch that game on Monday night, off the back of his foot, on his tippy toes, the not following through, just like throwing the ball away at any site of pressure, zero blitz pickup whatsoever.
I don't
understand who the hell's coaching him.
Yeah, here's my whole question with keeping Sirianni, which it seems like they're going to do.
I don't think they're going to, my opinion.
They looked so unprepared for how teams were very obviously scheming to stop them.
Yes.
And it's nothing new. The same bag of tricks that the 49ers and Cowboys were using 7 weeks ago. The same thing we saw the Giants do to them twice, even though they won the Christmas Day game.
Yep.
That's what Tampa did. It was not like some feat of defensive brilliance on the part of Todd Bowles and his staff that they came up with this unbelievable game plan for beating Philly. It was just like Philly is telegraphing what they're going to do on offense. So you've already got the blueprint. And then on defense, when you're going up against their defense, just cook that secondary.
Yeah.
By the way, it cracks me up.
I saw
Baker Mayfield won a playoff game faster than the Browns did after trading for Deshaun Watson. And they lost to the team they traded him for.
I'm married into the Browns family, so
I know, that's brutal. I was thinking about you.
As in my in-laws, they are not happy how that was handled. Nor am I.
I was always confused.
They turned on Baker Mayfield so fast up there.
Always confused about that.
The guy gave everything he had.
You took this guy number 1 overall. All he did was win a playoff game for the first time in forever for your franchise over your arch rival.
Over the arch rival.
And then the next season, he's playing with like 4 injuries. He shouldn't even be out on the field, but because you're a crap organization, you're still putting him out there. And what does he do? Does he complain? No, all he does is gut through all of them and give you his best effort. And you're going to side with like the most mercurial wide receiver in the league and ship your number 1 overall draft pick quarterback out of town. I mean, and then in favor of the most toxic starting quarterback in the league who hasn't played in a year, and you're going to give him the most ludicrous league-breaking contract. I mean, it's at one point or another, I truly believe Goodell just needs to step in and just dissolve the organization and say, third time's a charm. We'll just start. We're going to take a year off, and we're bringing the Browns back. Third time's a charm.
Hey, buddy, I'm going to tell you a little something because there's a team down south that might have that same thing going on in the Carolina Panthers.
Disaster.
It's an absolute disaster there.
Yeah.
Year after year, coach after coach, owner after owner, GM after GM. I mean, they fired the old man they made him sell the damn team.
Yep.
And the guy they bring in, Tepper's throwing drinks on people in the crowd.
The new Dan Snyder.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But they're going to turn on him. You said it earlier about the trading up to take Bryce Young when your coach is saying no, no, no. And, dude, I'm telling you, C.J. Stroud deserves MVP votes.
So good. Yeah.
Not just Rookie of the Year votes.
I thought, and listen,
he might deserve MVP consideration.
I'm wrong on the draft all the time, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm like every
You're
time.
Wrong.
I'm
We're
right.
Eagles fans.
I thought going into last year's draft, I thought Bryce Young to me, or excuse me, CJ Stroud to me looked like the only guy worth taking in the top 10. Maybe in the entire first round, but definitely in the top 10. I thought it was so obvious that he was the best of that group. How Carolina ends up, their owner ends up overruling his own football people.
Daniel Snyder.
Yeah, he's the new Dan Snyder. So let's talk about Frank Reich, the guy who got fired, even though he wanted CJ Stroud.
Yep.
He got stuck with Bryce Young, the owner's choice, and then when it didn't work out, the owner fired him, right? So what do you think about that? So Frank Reich is a name who is out there.
I'm telling you, Tepper he's mercurial. He is absolutely insane. He's crazy.
So
he's dumb enough to give somebody a guaranteed contract like the Browns owner.
Maybe Tepper's insanity could be Jeff Lurie's gain. There's some talk that if Nick Sirianni comes back, what he needs is he's James Franklin. He's a young CEO guy who gets along with his players, but needs to bring in some veteran coordinators with head coaching experience to be the head coach of each side of the ball. So let me throw this scenario at you.
Yep.
I saw this being kicked around online today, and I don't hate it. Nick Sirianni comes back to create stability at the top of the organization. They continue to develop him as the prospect, if you will, that they hired him as 3 years ago. And at offensive coordinator, he has either Frank Reich or Jim Caldwell. At defensive coordinator, he has either Leslie Frazier or Ron Rivera. What do you think about that?
Well,
so two veteran former head coach guys. I think, all four of those guys have been head coaches. Jim Caldwell took a team to the Super Bowl, as did Ron Rivera. Caldwell took the Colts to the Super Bowl. Ron Rivera
win it?
No.
Dungy won it.
Dungy win it. Caldwell lost to the Saints. But Ron Rivera took a team to the Super Bowl. Leslie Frazier was head coach of the Vikings. Frank Reich was head coach of the Colts and the Panthers.
Where is Frazier at now? Is he in Buffalo still?
He's no. Buffalo.
He got fired last year.
Yeah.
Wow.
So veteran guys, by the way, Rivera, Reich, and Leslie Frazier all have ties to the Eagles organization.
Ron Rivera played for them.
He did. Rivera and Leslie Frazier were both on the 85 Bears, too, by the way. So two guys who played for the best defense of all time, great defensive coaches, guys who went to Super Bowls.
Who are not going to get another head coaching job right now.
Yeah, exactly. The older
guys,
they're probably looking at coordinator jobs.
Can I throw Bill O'Brien's name in there, or did he take the Patriots job?
He has not.
Okay, I thought that Mayo kept him on aboard.
Well, I don't think he's been fired. I don't think it's official that he's going to be there. But O'Brien is somebody I think you could put in the mix. I haven't heard his name thrown around as much. But what do you think about that? Nick Sirianni
and Bill O'Brien, they would kill each other by the third game. They'd be on the sideline fighting. Great.
That to me is one of the reasons why you wouldn't want Bill. Let's just say this: temperamentally, I'm not sure Bill is the guy you want to put with Nick Sirianni.
Mercury.
Yeah. So what do you think about Nick with a couple of veteran former head coaches?
I'm okay with that. He needs a strong OC and DC.
Okay,
he is going to lose if it's trucking right. Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Lane Johnson, and Jason Kelsey.
I think Lane's back for sure.
Hopefully.
Lane's got plenty of football left in him, and like Jason Kelsey, when we started talking retirement, I think Lane sees a path to Canton if he keeps playing.
I do.
And so
personally, I think that he's already in there.
So if you've got football left to play and you love the game, which he clearly does, he loves being an Eagle.
Now,
and you can solidify your case to wear a gold jacket.
Is where we're at right now, Booch. The difference in me and you growing up than nowadays.
Okay.
He's a first-round pick. He's made over $100 million in his career at least.
Yep.
When's enough? You know what I mean? We have to take that into account with some of these. Playing for the love of the game and getting into the Hall of Fame is not really a thing anymore. I really don't think so.
I think it is for some guys.
Some guys.
To the Hall of Fame, think about it. I mean,
so you think that Lane Johnson's got to do with that another year or two play at this level?
Think about you grew up playing the game. I'm sure you watch some Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, right?
Always.
Didn't you ever think about like, my God,
Always. That
what
was,
if,
that was my half cup of coffee in the NFL. I was in the Hall of Fame game, bro.
yeah, well,
I played. I'm alumni.
I know.
I'm alumni.
Yeah, we talked about that. And like, if you feel like you're close to that, if you think I could be given one of those speeches, and I could, and you love the game. And I mean, Lane loves being an Eagle, right? Like he is not just one of those guys who's there collecting a paycheck. Like he clearly loves being a football player, and he loves being a Philadelphia Eagle. I don't. If you can still play, which Lane clearly can at a super high level, I don't think he's walking away. Now, Kelsey probably done. I wouldn't rule it out entirely, but probably done.
If they bring in a Frank Reich, a guy he knows, a guy he trusts,
that's what I'm
telling you. I think like, you know what?
I'm going to go one more round.
One more shot at this. One more time.
And Brandon Graham already said he wants to do one more year, and I think if they can make it work just to have him in the locker room, I think they'll do it.
He makes a lot of money. He doesn't really break.
Brandon Graham?
Yeah.
He only made $5 million this year.
Huh?
He only made $5 million this year.
Did he defer anything or anything? I mean, he played for the company discount then?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's down in salary. I thought he was like super. Because Fletcher Cox's salary is enormous.
He takes at one point. He and Fletcher were both on 1-year deals this year. So I don't think you see Fletcher Cox come back, only because
he played great the other night. By the way,
this
was his best game of the year. He
can still play well, and you need to get your younger defensive tackles more snaps. So theoretically, you could bring him back and have him play fewer snaps. The question is,
you don't need to pay him that much
what's he going to be willing to take? Right? Yeah, that's the question. But I think you maybe get 2 or 3 of those 4 senior most leaders you talked about for one more year.
You're holding defensive backfield. Patricia is gone. That's where I think that
you got to clean house. I think
that's where
I think
everything
every
went down
assistant
this
needs
year.
to
The way he
get out, except for Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah, the way he replaced, is it Johnson the DC? No, Johnson's the OC.
No, Desai, Sean Desai with Matt Patricia.
After that
was it.
Niners game.
Yep.
And Troy Aikman said, I said it on the show the other day, I was talking to Jeff about it. And that was once Aikman was talking about, like, I think that they panicked. And they, people were getting on Sirianni. He wants to be everybody's friend in Philadelphia on the radio and this and that. And he says, okay, I got to make a move. And he went and said, Matt Patricia is not going to be calling defensive plays. I think the team just said, no, I'm out.
Far be it from me to agree with Troy Aikman, but I think he's right.
Yeah. He's going to do this to our DC. What would he do to me? And I just think he's fake trying to appease the Philly call-in radio shows. Like, he tries to be that guy, that cool guy, and this and that, and wants to be talked about like a cool guy in that. I don't know. That's where I'm at with him, personally.
I really like Frank Reich.
You need a strong OC and a strong DC, and I'm okay with bringing him back. That's fine. I think the players like him.
Yeah.
But I don't know what he's really bringing to the table coaching-wise.
That's the question. I mean,
bring in some strong guys to take care of that.
The flip side to it is if you go back and you look at Jeff Lurie's comments when they hired him, we said we were hiring this guy for the coach we believe he's going to be. But we understand he's young and there's going to be some growing pains. That's not a direct quote, but that was basically the gist of his remarks. So if he continues to think that way, and Nick Sirianni walks into the meeting today and he said, I'm going to bring in Frank Reich, I'm going to bring in Jim Caldwell, we'll bring in Leslie Frazier, and we'll bring in Ron Rivera, like that's the plan, then maybe you're willing to buy into that. I like Frank Reich a ton. I am super intrigued about what Jim Caldwell could do for Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen needs. I think he needs a new voice in his head.
He wasn't reading anything out there on Monday night.
And if you look at the success Jim Caldwell had with a bad situation in Detroit, then when he went with Peyton Manning in Indy, and then when he was the offensive coordinator in Baltimore, I think that sort of veteran sensibility, that long view of how offense has evolved in the NFL and figuring out how to best utilize Jalen Hurts' skill set, I would be pretty intrigued by that. Before we go to break, let me just be devil's advocate. If the liability with Sirianni is what we think it is, which is that he's not much of an asset when things start to go off the rails and he's maybe a little bit immature, if you've got two veteran guys there who have been through a lot of battles and have those scars, and the players know that, and they are working, quote unquote, under the guy who is coming apart at the seams. That's not an ideal situation in my mind in terms of what it does for your locker room.
That's where his immaturity comes into play, and that is he always looking over his shoulder with these guys staying. Because that's what's going to happen is, people are going to be clamoring for Jim Caldwell. And by the way, I was here with Jim Caldwell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unbelievable human being. Unbelievable.
He's a lead recruiter on Kerry Collins, wasn't he?
Pretty much. And then he came into 2005 or 6. He came in and was just talking with the coaching staff and stuff like that. And I was sitting there, and Spider was talking to him, and he was talking about Peyton. And he was like, I got to know what Peyton Manning's all about. He goes, dude, if you aren't ready for him 110% every day, he'll murder you with his questions. And he will just sit there and he will just completely, if you're not on top of your game and have his answers that he wants, that he's going to have questions and you don't have the answer because you don't know, you're done. He's just going to roll right over you. He says it's the most demanding thing I've ever had to do in my life, but oh my God, is he special. He is unbelievable. It's like talking to a peer who's athletic as hell, who can do all this stuff. He said it was just unbelievable. But he said he'd come in and have a stack, a notebook that big of questions and what to do on this look. And then he says if he was not on his toes at all times, he would have got trounced.
And somebody with the experience of going to a Super Bowl with that guy is somebody I feel great about developing my
Oh man, because he does not look like he's getting any kind of coaching out there. He looks absolutely lost.
He looks abandoned.
Yes,
he looked abandoned through the second half of this season. All right, we're going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to actually talk about these divisional round playoff games. We're not. Unfortunately, no Steelers or Eagles to talk about. We talk about whether or not they're going to fire their head coach. Instead, it's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show coming to you on 93.7 The Fox from Quaker Steak and Lube in State College. We will be right back. Stay with us.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
What hands it, busboy? Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Haw-Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Haw-Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Haw-Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do. at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
That's right. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show coming to you live from Quaker Steak and Lube here on 93.7 The Fox. I'm Chris Bucanani, filling in for Jeff the Ironhead Byers.
Look how happy you are right now.
Penn State,
look at how
Michigan match.
You're so happy right now.
Keith Goon Conlon, what's up?
You're
Why
so
am I
happy right now, Booch.
Why?
Because we just figured out the name.
Yes, Todd Haley. Todd Haley was the Steelers' offensive coordinator. I could not think of. Ben Roethlisberger and most of the fan base hated his guts. Now they might be begging to get him back.
Then he was the head coach of Arizona and Kansas City.
Disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster.
I got a DC name for you.
Go ahead.
Vrabel.
Oh, he's going to get a head coaching job.
You think he deserves? Why does he deserve another head coaching job?
Because like it or not, the scuttlebutt on him is that he did more with less in Tennessee. Bad front office, not a lot of talent, and probably cut his teeth and made his mistakes in his first job. And you're going to get the best version of him when you give him his second job. So yeah, he's going to be head coach somewhere.
Where? Well, the question is, where do you think Dan Quinn's going to land?
Nowhere.
You don't think he's going to get a head job?
No, I think he'll be back in Dallas. Yep.
After that performance, you think that he's going to get – I just think that he just mailed it in. I think Seattle wants him big time. He's the guy who was a DC for Carroll in those years, so that's just my opinion. But I think that he just mailed it in because that Dallas defense was absolutely horrendous the other night. I mean horrendous. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think he's a great sell.
Wow.
After that.
So did you see there was a comment about, I said it to Jeff the other day about TJ Watt being out, and then Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett stood in solidarity with him and took the games off too. I was like, damn, a little hardcore right there, eh?
I must say, 40 million people watched that game. I was one of them, as were a lot of other Eagles fans, that even though we kind of knew it was probably coming to an end, about 24, 48 hours later, 48 hours because it was a Saturday game, I think. Or was it Sunday? I don't remember. Whatever.
Cowboys was Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. Okay.
4:30.
Boy, I felt so much better when that game was over. I was like, you know what? Whatever happens for the rest of the postseason, like it's house money for me.
I mean, I told Jeff, I said, I had 7 weeks to realize that was the Eagles team that was going to show up. So we were actually prepared for that.
Yes.
It wasn't like we were sitting there. I mean, I expected
when Drew Lock threw that pass to win the Monday Night Football game for the Seahawks, I texted my cousin and I said, I appreciate that the Eagles have let me know this early not to get invested in for the rest of the year. And I didn't. After that point, I was like, okay.
Everybody's like, oh, what do you think about the Eagles? And I was like, what did they show? They showed me nothing. I expected them to be the Buccaneers. But after watching the Cowboys play, maybe the NFC was a little really weak this year.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to get to the divisional round games. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show coming to you live from Quaker Steak.
Are we going line
Lube,
or are we going to go straight picks?
Before we get there.
Oh, sorry.
One piece of news came out today. You brought it up. I wanted to talk about it on the coaching front. The Chicago Bears have reached out to Cliff Kingsbury, who you may remember as head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders or Arizona Cardinals, but who currently, this past season, served as quarterback coach at USC. So very close with one Caleb Williams. The Bears do hold the number one overall pick in the draft. There's been a lot of speculation that they may look to deal Justin Fields and select Caleb Williams, who apparently is not at the moment thrilled at the prospect of playing in Chicago. Two questions.
What is so bad with Chicago?
I think he correctly views it as a dumpster fire organization. And I also think that he is a word I can't say on the radio here on 93.7 The Fox. And so I think he believes that he's above it. And if any of these other crap teams in the top 10 are not themselves also going to be trained.
You think Kyler Murray's happy that he's at the Arizona Cardinals?
I think that if you are a quarterback who's drafted in the top 5 picks, you have two ways to look at it. You have to say either you're Baker Mayfield and you go in with a big pair of brass ones, and you say, how lucky is this team to finally have me as their quarterback? Or you say, oh, woe is me. I'm stuck with a team that was so bad they had a top five pick in the NFL draft. So I think Caleb Williams is the latter.
Mhm.
And that to me is not a great sign. Honestly, if I had the number 1 overall pick this year, I would not draft Caleb Williams. I don't care how talented he is. Maybe I'm overreacting, but
Overreacting to what?
it's all the quote unquote intangibles.
Him.
But like everything I have seen from Caleb Williams, number 1, I'm not sure how well that skill set translates to the NFL. The Patrick Mahomes thing, I don't like that comparison because to me, the differentiator for Patrick Mahomes is not his athleticism, it's what's between his ears. And that guy, like, clearly always had focus and heart. And I don't know that you get those things from Caleb Williams. And I have never, ever, ever seen a malcontent quarterback win a Super Bowl.
Or a draft
Some
pick.
people might describe Ben Roethlisberger that way.
Well,
But, look,
I have a lot of words to describe Ben.
even if you would, you can say there's an exception that proves the rule. I would not take Caleb Williams, number 1 overall.
After what his father said a couple months ago, I would not touch Caleb Williams, the 10-foot pole. And that was that they were looking for ownership.
Yeah. Is that real? I mean, did he actually say that? I'm skeptical that
It's
that's
the
a real
internet.
story. Why would the internet
lie?
So,
The internet doesn't lie.
real quickly, because we'll have plenty of time to talk about this before the draft. But if you were the Bears, would you deal Justin Fields and hire the offensive coordinator of choice in order to placate your potential number 1 overall pick quarterback? To start over with Caleb Williams, yes or no?
Do I trade the pick and trade CJ Stroud or not CJ Stroud?
Let's say for argument's sake, you could trade him to Atlanta for number 8, so you could have picks 1, 8, and 9 in this draft. Number 1 is Caleb Williams, and you're committing to him and Cliff Kingsbury running your offense.
I'm okay with that. Marvin Harrison,
maybe
Junior.
I wouldn't expect him to be there at 8. Maybe you could package one of those
What was the
picks
second
and move
pick?
up.
1 and 8, you said, or 1, 5?
1, 8, and 9.
Oh, 1, 8, 9. Well, maybe you can trade it to somebody get lower. Atlanta would love to have him.
So give me
Is
a
he
yes or
on
no.
the
Would
list?
you do it?
Huh?
Would you do it? Would you make that trade and then hire
No, I
Kingsbury?
don't want a guy who's already come
I'm
out
with
and say, I don't want to
Yep.
be there.
I'm with you.
What's going to change? It's Jim Kelly going to the Buffalo Bills when he was in the USFL. I don't want to go to Buffalo. I don't want to go to Buffalo. Hey, man, USFL 1 under. Hey, I love Buffalo.
Right.
I just think that, you shouldn't be saying that type of stuff because you don't know. And
Okay.
so there's a kid right there. That's what we're going to be dealing with in the future. He's made so much money in college, more money than anybody in his family has ever made. How they combined. I know it would have been like me, and my family, if we was making a couple $1 million. I mean, that's huge money. So this is a kid who's already been professional, in my opinion, but he's an immature professional. Now he's going to go into the big leagues, and how's he going to handle being an immature? And guys calling him out for what he said and what his father has said. It's not going to be pretty. I don't think. I don't see him now. Again, talk to me in 10 or 15 years when this kid's a fast tracking first term Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think you and I probably just jinxed him. So he's going to Canton now.
As a player, you're going to sit there in the locker room. The kid's going to come in there. And yeah, you got to respect the first round overall pick, but you don't want to be here. You already said you want to be here, so don't lie to us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know why he would say something like that, but that's John Elway. We just dealt with that with the Flyers with Cutter off the A.
Oh, please don't remind. Let's not talk
Louise,
about that.
trade me. Okay, you're traded. You're gone. Get out.
Okay, we got 10 minutes.
Yes.
Some housekeeping things right out of the gate. You're listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We're live here at Quaker Steak and Lube in State College. Come on out and join us here. You can come out for the show anytime, 3 to 5 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But obviously a lot going on here in the evenings with sports on all the flat screen TVs all over the place every night. Great beers, great menu, great wings, and great wing sauce selection here at Quaker Steak and Lube. We're proud and happy to do the Goon and Ironhead Show from here every Tuesday and Thursday. Also happy to be sponsored by Lion Country Kia, a great place to get your vehicle here in State College. If you are listening locally here on 93.7 The Fox tonight at 6:30 p.m., we've got Phillipsburg Osceola versus Bald Eagle in wrestling. And we are now, Goon, going to pivot to, and we should mention the Ironhead's not here because he's traveling with the Penn State wrestling
I told
team.
Ironhead, do not come home without 2 wins.
Michigan, I'll tell you what, that Penn State-Michigan match is going to be a blockbuster.
It is.
A lot of ranked, unranked matchups in that one. So you want to hear the Ironhead bring it to you. You can hear that on gopsusports.com. Okay, let's go through these divisional round games. I don't have the lines up. Just go pick them straight up. Tell me who you like. Starting on Saturday in the AFC South slot, 4:30 on a Saturday, the Texans visiting the number 1 overall seed Baltimore Ravens. Who you got?
No lines, just picking
straight up.
I'm interested to see where exactly Lamar is. If it's the Lamar that's been in the playoffs the last couple of years, then there might be in some trouble. I'm interested to see how Houston plays in the weather outside of a dome with a rookie quarterback
on the road.
See. I mean, this is one of those things that we're talking about Caleb Williams now. We're talking about C.J. Stroud.
He looked so poised.
He looked unbelievable.
Game. Did he not?
Absolutely. He looked absolutely amazing in that game. And, Lamar has had trouble in the playoffs, and that is make him throw the ball. You can't let him beat you on with his feet. He can't let you do it.
Did you see the clip of the D'Amico Ryans, who I loved as a player, by the way?
But what a great story that is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
First pick overall from the first round pick of the Houston Texans, played there, DC there. Now he's the head coach. I mean, that is the definition.
Did you see the clip of him coaching up former Eagle, by the way, Christian Ellis?
Correct.
On right before he picked off Joe Flacco, he's telling him exactly what you had to do to be in position to make the pick. And then he goes out and he does it. To me, that going back to why do I think maybe it's time to move on from Sirianni, that is the plus advantage of what a good head coach can do.
Correct.
And so if Houston is going to pull off this upset, and it would be a huge upset, to go into the number 1 seeds building with a rookie QB and get yourself into the AFC Championship game, it would be one of the biggest surprise AFC Championship game participants since back when our boy Kerry Collins
was Jacksonville and Carolina.
Jacksonville were both in the
second year of existence, and they were winning playoff games.
So
yes, that's exactly what I thought.
You were going to need to flummox the potential MVP and turn him into playoff Lamar, and maybe, just maybe, D'Amico's the guy with the the acumen to get that done. Even still, though, man.
Yep.
So
like I said, Baltimore.
I think they maybe shot their shot last week.
They're going to say
they're
you
a team on the up, but I like
you got to throw on us and this and that. But Lamar never had RG3, Zay Flowers. He's got Andrews back this weekend. He's got all his weapons there. He hasn't had this much wide receiver and passing game power in his career. So you got to go with Baltimore in this game, even with the 10 points.
Okay, so Pack at 49ers.
Oof, another 10-point game, personally. Packers, if they play that game they played against the Steelers, they can hang in
Cowboys.
there. Against the Cowboys. Jeez.
Yeah.
They can hang in there with the because you're going to have to score points on the 49ers. Because you're not going to stop that offense.
Yes.
No one's going to stop that offense. You need to score 30 to 35 points to take out the 49ers in this game.
Can I give you a crazy stat?
Go ahead.
No team in the history of the league has lost to Kirk Cousins and gone on to play in the Super Bowl. The 49ers lost to the Vikings with Kirk Cousins starting.
There you go. How do you like that?
If you're a Niners fan, the curse of Kirk Cousins is looming over, I don't know what there's. I'm just going to call it Candlestick Park, even though I know that's not their stadium anymore.
My opinion in that one is I think that Jordan Love is a special, special player, and he's really, he's grown up in front of us because week 4 of this year, we talked about it. They wanted Sean Clifford to replace him.
I know.
And now we're sitting there saying this guy's an unbelievable player, great player, this and that. I think they come back down to earth. I don't think they can compete the way they did against the Cowboys the other night against this 49ers defense.
Since the NFL has gone to the one bye, that makes such a difference.
You got to take into account that these guys have had a week off, and you have no idea physically the difference in 2 weeks off. Lamar Jackson's got 3 weeks off because they didn't play week 17.
Yeah.
So they're going into this game fresh, whereas the Texans and the Packers are just coming off of the game 7 days before.
Yep.
After a 17-week season. So you got to go with the two teams.
By the way, both of them younger teams, both of them winning in like blowout fashion, and you worry a little bit about them partying too much after what was only the first step of the journey.
Well,
I got the number 1 seed in both conferences moving on to their respective
now,
conference championships.
speaking of parties after a game, I know you're going to go with this.
I teed you up for that. Go ahead.
And that is the
Sunday,
Detroit Lions have already won the Super Bowl because they acted like they won the Super Bowl this past week.
They acted like they won 10 Super Bowls all at once.
It just looked like Michigan versus Ohio State 3 years ago. And then they went out to play Georgia and 10 days later and got absolutely throttled.
And I get it. I understand. 1992 is a long time ago. Okay? George H.W. Bush was the president the last time this team won a playoff game.
The last time they were actually in a playoff game.
Yeah.
Was 96, correct?
No, they made it under Stafford a couple of times. They didn't win.
Okay.
But
win, yes.
It reminded me of the meme of like, you know, they show the frames of the guy pouring champagne on himself, kissing the girl, like biting the metal, and then the camera zooms out and he's like 7th on the podium. Like that, the response of the Lions and their fans, I thought, I get it. I totally understand the emotional outpouring after something like this. I do worry a little bit about the fact that you won a wild card game and you acted like you already won everything, right? Your Michigan analogy is great. We beat Ohio State for the first time since text messaging was a thing, and that was our Super Bowl. And then we lose by 50 to Georgia, but whatever. Right, so they got the Buccaneers at Ford
Now, that's
Field.
the thing. I just don't think the Buccaneers are that good, but the Buccaneers seem to beat the hell out of the Eagles the other night.
Yeah, well, the Eagles stink. They've given up.
And that's where I'm at right now.
And the Buccaneers were playing
Mike
at home.
Evans is one of those players we are going to remember the rest of our lives. Has that guy had a great career? Just an unbelievably great, productive career.
Super solid.
Him and like Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
They're so underappreciated. At least, you know, one's got a Super Bowl ring, I guess. So, but yeah. I just don't see Detroit. They showed they partied a little bit too much for my liking the other night, this and that, but they're happy. But they got a home game. They're in a dome, and they're getting
they're the better team. I mean, the
Buccaneers played Monday night.
Yep.
So they had a whole other day of rest. More than
How about that? The Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game could be. I mean, I like San Francisco. It could be them hosting an NFC North NFC Championship game. Unbelievable.
Because I'm telling you right now, the Packers can beat that 49ers team. The Packers can.
Yeah, no
they
doubt.
Can
no question.
Definitely beat.
No question.
That 49ers. Because the 49ers team, they might come in there.
No doubt about it.
They may come in there so cocky and this and that. McCaffrey might get hurt early. This and that. I mean, Debo and then Purdy, you don't know how they're going to play in the playoffs. We've picked the home team in 3 out of 4 games as we wrap up here on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show live from Quaker Steak and Lube in State College on 93.7 The Fox. Ooh. Last game of the weekend is Chiefs at Bills. Ooh. A reversal of that classic game that changed the overtime rules 2 years ago. Ed Hockley's kid is the referee, and the Chiefs are 8-2 as him as referee. 2-0 in playoff games. Although, as somebody has pointed out online, like the Chiefs have won about 80% of their games under Patrick Mahomes. So all they've done is like win their average under that. That's not that big of a deal. I hate when you're right. Shut up. Okay, so anyway, shut up, Bills. Booch. I got to go with the Bills. Just want the Bills. They're my guys. You know that. Definitely hoping for the Bills. We're barreling towards the shore side of the apocalypse. Detroit Super Bowl. They're just going to play it in Lake Erie. Oh, good Lord. So just go play in Lake Erie. They got to play it under Lake Erie. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to imagine a world where either one of those teams wins a Super Bowl. Pessimistic the fan bases would be. Oh, my God. Go out in your backyard and look for the comment. We're going to lose. We're going to lose. Oh, good Lord. We're going to lose. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I hate to say it. Detroit, I got Buffalo, Super Bowl. I wanted Philadelphia and Cleveland, but I could do Cleveland and Detroit. But now I'm on the Buffalo-Detroit now. Buffalo-Detroit would be unbelievable. I got to go for my boys. In every sense of the word. You got to go for the boys. Yeah, and Josh Allen out there, he's playing absolutely fantastic. It just depends on if Stephon Diggs wants to be a baby out there like he normally is. Undefeated since they lost to the Eagles. Undefeated since they started throwing somebody into the big hole they're digging for the new stadium. Undefeated since Sean McDermott invoked the 9/11 hijackers
to inspire his team. I still like the Chiefs. I got Patrick Mahomes.
They're going
in
down.
the playoffs.
They're going down.
So our only disagreement is there. We'll see how he did. You and Ironhead can talk about it next week on the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on 93.7 The Fox. Again, Phillipsburg versus Bald Eagle in wrestling tonight at 6:30. Come on down to Quaker Steak Lube. Join us every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. So long, everybody. We love you. Waiting for the clock to tick down
At the end.
and be out of
We
here.
got 3 minutes we got to hold on to, right? Oh, we got. Ooh, buddy.
So long, everybody. Go
See you
Birds.
guys.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands it, busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.